Hey everybody, this is Sarah Browder. Today I'm going to talk with you about FEMA's Public Assistance Grant Program and then focus on private nonprofit entities and how they deal with FEMA's Public Assistance Grant Program. So the mission of the program is to provide assistance to state, tribal, and local governments and certain types of private nonprofit organizations so that the communities can quickly respond to and recover from major disasters or emergencies declared by the President. Here's a diagram of the FEMA's Public Assistance Grant Program. So the disaster is going to trigger the declaration. Once a disaster occurs, local entities will have to perform a preliminary damage assessment in which they get the monetary value of their damage to their area. This is then submitted to the governor, and then the governor will make a request to the president. If the president declares a major disaster, the applicant will go into an applicant briefing in which they'll get assigned a state public assistance coordinator, and then the applicant will have to do a submission of a request to participate in the program. Then there's a kickoff meeting, and then the applicant will work with FEMA and the state officials to formulate their projects into PWs, which are project worksheets. Then the project worksheets will go to review, and then there is an approval, and then the funding will trickle down from the grantee to the subgrantee. Here on this slide, you'll see a list of eligible applicants. They can range from Native American tribes to state, county, city, towns, villages, political subdivisions of the state, and certain nonprofit organizations. Also, please note that the grantee is a state or tribal government that is responsible for administering public assistance grants, and the subgrantee is an eligible applicant that receives public assistance grants as reimbursement for performing the disaster work. So the request by the applicant must be submitted 30 days from the declaration date, and it's very important that you get it within this time frame or you will not be eligible to receive funds. The cost share for public agencies is 75% for federal, 12.5% for state, 12.5% for the applicant. And the cost share for private nonprofits is 75% federal and 25% applicant. There's no 12.5% for the applicant. So what are private nonprofit entities? These are facilities that provide the following critical services such as fire, medical treatment, power, water, and sewer utilities, and also communication systems. All applicants can fall under one of these work categories in order to submit their project worksheets. So for category A and B, debris removal and protective measures, this is emergency work. And emergency work must be completed within 6 months from the declaration date. Category C through G are permanent work, and this work must be completed 18 months from the declaration date. Now, for certain private nonprofit entities as utility companies, most of their work is going to fall under category A, B, D, and F. For any applicant, record keeping is vital for reimbursement. It helps us organize the cost for PWs for approved work. FEMA has other forms that helps assist in organizing and summarizing the information, and the information must be the original documentation, and it must be kept for 5 years. Many entities have their own way of keeping up with documentation during a storm. Here is an example of what a private nonprofit entity such as a utility company might use to help document their work. Here is an overhead field inventory sheet in which you can put your company name, the crew leader, project ID, your location, what types of trucks you use, different types of materials such as wire, transformers, and poles that are used, and this kind of helps organize everything into the PWs. Another thing that's very important to private nonprofit entities such as utilities is mutual aid. Mutual aid will come in when the entity cannot handle the damage and needs help restoring everything back to normal work. So mutual aid can come from anywhere, anybody across the United States, and everybody's there to help each other out, which makes it a lot easier to return things to normal. So in conclusion, we've talked about FEMA's Public Assistance Program. We looked at the mission. We looked at eligible applicants. We looked at the different work categories, and we also stressed the importance of record keeping during a disaster. And some of the sources that were used during this presentation was www.fema.gov and www.cooperative.com, which focuses on cooperatives and utilities.